Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo to present our top stories in the news tonight. Socialist Party leader Fred Membe accuses the UPND of framing him of committing a crime. A rights activist describes as dangerous the tendency of asking the private sector to support the police. Edith Nawakwi describes the UPND as a failed project. In international news, Moroccans rally against high cost of living. And in sports news, Frank Lampard says he did not expect to solve Blues' problems in one day.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello again. We continue with the news. A 37-year-old woman of Lusaka's Kanyama compound who was fond of abusing alcohol has her life completely turned after putting a stop to the vice. In September last year, Camnet TV carried a story of Priska Lungu who could not take care of her two biological children due to her excessive abuse of alcohol. However, after being empowered by Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights Organization, the mother of two has quit alcohol and is now progressing with her business. More in this report.
Almost 6 months after being empowered and putting a stop to alcohol abuse, Priska Lungu has had her life turned around completely. She is now advising her fellow women, especially those fond of abusing alcohol, to desist from such and engage themselves in productive activities that would better their lives. In September 2022, Camnet TV carried a report of Priska Lungu, who resides in Lusaka's Kanyama compound. At the time the report was carried, she was unable to take care of her two children due to her excessive abuse of beer intake.
Meaning that ndalama zizakhala mu circulation zizamba kuzunguluka chifukwa muchitakandwai. So pakangono patungono twamene tili nato mairoti zagavana mupezeke pagulu ya wazimai wanzanu. Ai mama.
Pamene una ma chips ma potato adula ndi pamene napumulako. Ndrama kuti nyambogulisa. Ndrama mai wanga wali nazo manje amene mama nona tili kumwamo wadasa makangwa kuti wanipasi.
After receiving the report of the 37-year-old mother of two, Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights placed her on a program called Women and Youth Rehabilitation, a program that targets women and youths who are fond of abusing alcohol and drugs by empowering them. Now that she has been empowered and put a stop to the abuse of alcohol, the organization says it will continue monitoring her and other women on the program.
Appealing to other stakeholders that can come on board and support these women here in Kanyama, and also these young boys, so-called junks, so that we can retrieve them from the old habits. We change them from old habits. Maybe they can also start doing something. We reduce the crime levels here in Kanyama. We reduce the how women they are taking alcohol here in Kanyama. I think the main aim of this project that we have started as Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights is to empower women so that they understand to be independent, how to do things on their own, more especially when they lose their partner. If they are not oriented in any business, in any activities to do things on their own, it becomes a challenge.
Alcoholism among Zambian women has not only reached distressing levels, but it is now alarming. The country's social activities attribute the rise in the number of women indulging in alcohol abuse to high levels of poverty in the country. With a program that Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights Organization has commenced, they hope this will help women be stable in life and avoid consumption of alcohol. Shanty compounds like Kanyama, Chawama and Misisi are targeted areas. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A civil rights activist, Brebna Changala, has charged that the call by the Minister of Justice suggesting that people with cash and the business community support law enforcement agencies is misplaced and highly dangerous. Mr. Changala tells Camnet News that financing law enforcement wings is the duty of the state, hence subjecting them to charity would compromise their independence. He says it is unthinkable to ask for support from potential suspects and expect to create a credible and accountable justice system. He says that if the police are going to be supported by the private sector, it will undermine the credibility of the Zambia police.
State police play a vital role in ensuring law and order as well as securing life and property, but in the Zambian context, it is equally true that they lack a lot, and certainly transport and infrastructure are among them. And recently, the Zambia Police Service Commission did testify to this problem. And during the handover of a police vehicle to Ibex Hill Police Post in Lusaka by a named motor vehicle company on Monday, 3rd April 2023, Justice Minister Mlambo Haimbe, who is also Lusaka Central Member of Parliament, urged cooperating partners in Zambia to consider investing in public institutions such as the police.
We have an upswing in crime. And one of the sad stories we heard was that a couple of our police stations have got no means of transport whatsoever, including, I believe, this one here. And so it was decided that we would lobby with the business community. As you know, in Lusaka Central constituency is the heart of Zambia.
But civil rights activist Brebna Changala has charged that the call by the lawmaker suggesting that the business community supports the police is misplaced and highly dangerous. Mr. Changala tells Camnet News that such a call is an act of desperation, saying financing of law enforcement wings such as the police is the responsibility of the state, hence subjecting them to charity would compromise their independence.
Simply the businessmen, simply the people with the means, the people with cash to support the law enforcement agencies in this country is misplaced and highly dangerous and compromises the state of our security and independence of the law enforcement agencies. The law enforcement agencies must clearly and specifically depend on the state for their impartiality. You cannot ask for financial support or indeed material support from potential suspects, from potential lawbreakers. It will not do.
He alleges that the handout culture has already put our men and women in uniform in a compromised position.
The police are going to be financed, supported, both materially and in many aspects, then we are defeating the means and ends of justice. I would ask the Minister of Justice, if he is indeed the Minister of Justice, to look at the justice system and how we have come to this position where we are, where the state police and many law enforcement agencies are highly compromised and they are professionally incompetent because of handouts as one of the many defects.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD leader Edith Nawakwi has charged that Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has failed to govern the country and continues to make empty speeches. In an exclusive interview, Ms. Nawakwi accuses the head of state of having a selfish agenda to enrich himself from the country's resources. Meanwhile, Ms. Nawakwi has joined the other opposition political parties in urging the UPND administration to swallow its pride and engage China on the huge debt Zambia owes that country. More in this report.
The country's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has been a subject of criticism from the opposition ever since the reception of his taking over of office. After winning the general elections in August 2021, President Hichilema pledged that his administration will ensure the transformation of the economy. In his inauguration speech, the head of state promised a cheering cloud to restore prosperity, stability and jobs to Africa's second-largest copper producer, which is stuck in huge debt. Forum for Democracy and Development FDD leader Edith Nawakwi has joined other stakeholders in urging the United Party for National Development to swallow their pride and engage China so as to find means and ways to resolve the huge debt the country owes China.
The Americans have no money because they are the largest debtor with China. China has pushed a lot of bonds, a lot of projects into America. America is a net borrower from China. Now, please, don't talk to the Chinese. And then you bring them here, they land on a Chinese airport, they go to a Chinese hospital, they go to a Chinese hall. Can't you be embarrassed? So my advice is this, and I've been saying this time and again. Pululuwanga, swallow your pride. Pick up a phone, call the Chinese ambassador and say, my brother, help us. And they should then make an appointment with the president of China. Not if when I'm in China. When did you go to China?
The opposition leaders also accused the UPND administration of failing to govern the country, adding that they have continued to project emptiness without proper roadmap.
His agenda is not for Zambia. This gentleman, our president, has a self-agenda, a personal agenda to make money. He wants to be called the first billionaire in dollars in Zambia. That's all. He didn't come here to develop our country. You can see what has happened. He wanted glory by exporting maize. You are now in a very tight situation. And his ministers are saying people are hoarding mini meal. They should go and show us in warehouses where people are hoarding mini.
Meanwhile, the ruling UPND says the opposition leaders must learn to give credit where it's due, adding that the current administration has made tremendous progress in improving the country in all sectors.
Also heard some of our colleagues in opposition saying that we have failed to reduce the cost of living in our country. Truth must be told. The UPND government took over the Loten system. We took over the treasury, which had no money. We all know that PF defaulted to pay the Eurobond. This necessitated us when we come into government so that we fix a lot of pressure. And one of the pressure that we are fixing currently, it is to make sure that we reduce the cost of living. We must also understand that we are living in a global village. We have seen that the inflation rate has gone up. We have seen that there is artificial shortage of meal. And this shortage of meal is being anchored by us as citizens because we have opted to start smuggling.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Opposition Socialist Party leader Fred Membe has been formally charged with 2 counts of assault and threatening violence. The other suspects jointly charged with Dr. Membe for the offense of assault occasioning actual bodily harm are Saili Chita, aged 62, of Mulilima area in Sarenje district, and Daniel Mumba, aged 41, of Chamboli in Kitwe. Police Deputy Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale says the trio have been released on police bond pending court appearance. Socialist Party President Dr. Fred Membe has refuted assertions that a UPND cadre was shot during the fracas that the 2 parties were involved in. Dr. Membe says his party was in Sarenje to drum up support for their candidate Rodwell Kunda ahead of the local government by-election scheduled for April 20. However, they were attacked by the ruling party cadres. The opposition leader has disclosed that some of his party officials were brutally attacked and had their vehicles damaged in full view of police officers.
That could have ended up in the death of a UPND cadre or a Socialist Party cadre. I fired a few shots to disperse the people and indeed the money to run away. If I didn't do that, we would have deaths. Nobody was aimed at. Nobody was assaulted by myself. But today, I'm being framed and and there's an attempt to make me look a violent person, which I'm not. It won't work. Abave mbabatira obuchenjeshi bwanko kupungwa tisakamana. Obuchenjeshi bumukimono okusa. A warn and caution statement is being recorded from me this morning. I was the first one to go to the police to complain about the violence. The UPND cadres who attacked us are nowhere near the police post or police station. They are not being arrested. They are not in any way being questioned.
Community Action Against Corruption has advised the UPND government cabinet ministers to improve communication on decisions and matters affecting their respective ministries to the Zambian people. Organization CEO Brighton Tembo notes that the common trend in the UPND government has been that of leaving everything affecting various ministries to the president to communicate to the people. He says this has led to some people to believe that some of the ministers are not competent enough or they do not understand their duties. Mr. Tembo feels the Minister of Agriculture has failed to explain to the Zambian people convincingly on why the country is facing an upsurge in mealie meal prices and national shortages of the same commodity. He believes smuggling of mealie meal into neighboring countries is not the only reason for the shortage of mealie meal in various parts of the country.
No, we can only advise the cabinet ministers in the new Dawn government to learn how to communicate with the people of Zambia about matters affecting their ministries and the decisions that they are making at their respective ministries. You know, this issue of always depending on the president to communicate matters that can even be communicated by ministers direct from their ministries creates a perception as if those ministers are not competent enough to handle their ministries, or they do not just understand their duties. So it's up to the ministers to realize that fact as quickly as possible. If you look at the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture has completely failed to explain to the Zambians why we have mealie meal shortages, why we have high prices of mealie meal. Because as Community Action Against Corruption, we do not believe smuggling of mealie meal is the only reason why we have these shortages. So the more the minister attempts to explain this situation, the less we understand him. So he should understand the fact that people are not getting the explanation. And when you look at the way he's explaining things, it just points to one fact that I think the ministry is not in the position to solve this problem anytime soon.
Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia Director Luchembe Chilofya has underscored the need to improve funding to the judiciary to enhance access to justice delivery. Mr. Chilofya notes the need to explore the digitizing of the judicial process to make it easy for people to access legal information. He also emphasized that legal reforms must move alongside the advancement in information communication technologies.
Look at how government and indeed this country is investing in the judiciary system. You know, when it comes to this week, we've seen the president appointing the people to serve in the judiciary and calling on them to quickly address issues of cases, finish them as quickly as possible. It's not just about that. It's about how much resources are we putting in this judiciary system for it to be able to carry out its work? How much, resources do they have to ensure that they're investigating their cases effectively and quickly dispose them? So we need to look at the judiciary system and invest more. But also we need to begin to look at making the legal aspect more accessible to everyone. We need to invest in the legal aspect, maybe go think about legal tech, where we have a legal representation available on our social media platforms. Unfortunately, I know that the law does prohibit lawyers to advertise on social media and all other platforms, but we need to begin to think, how do we make the legal issues accessible and affordable to everyone? You just download an app and you're able to know, I can find this lawyer, affordable lawyer at this community, in this space. And I think it will be beneficial for the country and to be able to address what the president is calling in terms of disposing the cases as quickly as possible.
The Food Reserve Agency in Northwestern Province has disclosed that the province has enough white maize that can cushion the escalating shortages of mealie meal in the province. The province has not been spared by the ongoing artificial shortage of mealie meal, with some milling plants running out of maize stock. In an interview, FRA Provincial Marketing Coordinator Trinos Lungu explained that quantities of maize have drastically depleted in Solwezi district, hence looking for another district within the province that has enough maize stock. Mr. Lungu says districts such as Munilunga have a significant quantity of maize which can cushion what is escalating in the province in terms of the shortages of mealie meal on the market.
Pertaining to this situation is that we are food secure in terms of the grade A white maize in the province. Of course, in Northwestern Province, in particular Solwezi, the quantities have depleted. However, in the neighboring districts, namely Mwenilunga, we have significant quantities, which are, of course, could actually cushion what is obtaining in the province in terms of shortage of mealie meal on the market. Mwenilunga is where you can easily collect the stocks. Please, definitely. I don't know APG, I'm sure it have been given Solwezi. So what I'll do, whatever quantities is there, I'll split. I'll split what they are given as well as the.
As Muslims around the world observe Ramadan, the Islamic community in Zambia and Africa has dedicated itself to praying against ills in society, including the promotion of same-sex relationships being propelled by the Western countries. Federation of Muslim Dawah Organizations Sheikh Omar al-Bashir says there is no way African societies can live without principles and morals. He is disappointed that Western countries are imposing an alien culture on African countries. Mr. al-Bashir says that just like other religions, they will not condone such acts. Sheikh al-Bashir says the country needs prayer as corruption is growing stronger by the day in the face of uprightness and the basic survival of the common man, which he said is hanging on a tightrope across the continent. He says the call for prayers for leaders and the nation will culminate into a gathering on Sunday, the 23rd of April, 2023, at the Woodlands Stadium.
The north to the south to East Africa, so we are engulfed in a lot of things. But that notwithstanding, we are also experiencing a lot of hunger issues. We have diseases, punching up us from every other corner. And now there is also another problem of, some foreign ideas. One of them being the LGBT campaign that is going on. We are Africans and we are not going to shy away from our cultures and values. We have to stand for them. And therefore, we are actually asking our leaders, not only in Zambia. This is a menace that is now, befalling Africa in general. And we just have to remind our leaders that, we stand for a value, and that value is moral uprightness as Africans, and therefore we should not cave in and, adopt something that is not African, and that is not pro our families, because we marry to get families and father the progeny. And now if we are going to allow lesbianism and homosexuality and the queer behaviors and stuff like that, transgender, this is going to be dangerous, because our family unit is going to be destroyed for good. So these are some of the things that we may want to ask all Zambians to join with us in praying for the nation and for the leadership. We pray for our president, Mr. HH. We pray for the leaders, both national and local leaders. This is very, very important.
Thank you once again for joining us. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
You know I can take her a break.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Camnet TV, in collaboration with Kawama Orphanage, invites you for a 2-day music festival on the 29th and 30th of April 2023. Time 10:30 hours to 18 hours. Venue Camnet Grounds opposite Hilltop Hospital in Kabulonga. Musical host Ruben. Charges 250 kwacha VIP, 100 kwacha ordinary, and 50 kwacha children. Get your tickets at CompuTickets. Come, let us support this orphanage together.
Welcome back. We'll continue with Camnet Television News. Solwezi Central Member of Parliament Stafford Mulusa says progress has been made toward the construction of the first ever 2x3 double-story classrooms at Mushitala Secondary and Kikombe Secondary Schools in his constituency. Mr. Mulusa says the project is expected to be handed over in 3 months' time and appealed to the contractor to speed up the construction works. He has observed that Solwezi's population is growing at a fast rate, hence the need to improve educational infrastructure. The construction of the 2 projects is being done under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF.
The project for the double-story structures is going on well, though a bit slow. I'm impressed that at least the works have started already, as you could have seen the time we're going through. We expect that in the next 2 or 3 months, those structures will be handed over. And we expect that Kikombe Secondary School will have at least 6 classrooms. You go to Mushitala Secondary School, at least they will have about 6 classrooms. That is what we want. We want to create more classroom space so that our children, our people can be learning in a very good environment. I'm also impressed with some of the works under CDF, apart from the double-story structures. I think we went to Roadway Mwepu. The works are very impressive. The contractor is fast, up to date, clean, smart. That is the way it's supposed to be. This is just the beginning. We shall go around to check on all the projects. By the way, we have 22 projects under the 2022 CDF, and we have 20 projects under 2023. So all in all, just under CDF, 2023 and 2022, we have about 42 projects going on. That is just CDF. If we add forward development fund, I think we have almost 70 projects going on. So Solwezi Central is a constituency that is growing very fast due to the introduction of the CDF 25,000, now 28.3.
Farmers in Chongwe's Kanakantapa area have bemoaned the use of chemicals in the agricultural value chain. In an interview, one of the farmers in Kanakantapa area has explained that chemicals such as weed killer are not only toxic to the soils, but the people who handle the chemicals. He says that during the process of applying the substance, his skin was burned, wondering what long effects the chemicals have on the soil, especially in the wake of climate change. Meanwhile, the Zambia Alliance for Agroecology and Biodiversity in their 2021 research found extensive use of some of the most highly hazardous chemicals. ZAB National Coordinator Mudinta Nketani says these harmful chemicals, which have been banned in some countries, were readily available in Zambia despite the long-term impact on personal health and the environment.
Zambia has been grappling with the challenge of increasing agricultural production by increasing yields and reducing pests in the country's quest to enhance food security. In fact, the challenge is even bigger now than ever because of the temptation to introduce Zambian farmers to the use of biotechnology in their agricultural processes. It is the foreign-based firms and organizations that have been spearheading and popularizing such unsustainable agro methods characterized by toxic chemicals, but is contributing to several environmental challenges and reducing the country's climate change resilience. In 2002, late President Levi Mwanawasa's regime faced major challenges from American and European influencers who were keen to introduce genetically modified organisms in Zambia. This reduces the gains made by the late President Levi Mwanawasa against biotechnology, especially GMOs and the use of toxic chemicals, and farming having been overturned, and these technologies have taken center stage. Bayer Crop Science is a subdivision of Bayer, an American corporation that provides a wide range of products and services that claim to enable sustainable agriculture for farmers. This author took a research to Chongwe district, 45 kilometers from Lusaka district, the capital city of Zambia. The findings are that Bayer Crop Science is involved in the production of GMO seeds, seed treatment, herbicides, insecticides, and other products. The company claims these products and chemicals help farmers to control pests and weeds as well as maximize crop production. Apart from agricultural chemicals, Bayer Crop Science is also involved in the production of aspirin, Yasmin birth control pills, and a strong prevention drug, Xarelto. Recently, Bayer Crop Science were accused of producing and spreading agriculture and birth control products that contained ingredients which had cancer-causing cells. But the company quickly denied the claims that its products like weed killer, Roundup, which is a product of glyphosate, go against science. The company claims the products got clearance from the US-based Environmental Protection Agency. Roundup is a weed killer that has affected millions of users in Zambia, and scientists are carrying out studies to ascertain its contents after some farmers developed tumors and lumps that looked like lymphoma. Clement Kalima, 27, said he had part of his face burnt out by Roundup when he was working on his sunflower farm during the 2022 farming season.
Kuyamba na kudala tima kondo spray ya meni glyphosate na Roundup, but tapeza kuti doti fertility ambo chitabwanja ambo sila so monga vevilili vishango hivi valeka kukula mushe chifuka cha mankwala amenaye. And then po spray last week monga mwani onera kumenso nili ku spray mpepo inabwera chitabwanja nchaya kumenso ya vimankwala so inapeza kati na shokeka so ngati vinga shokeso hivi vintu what more landia tu nishi chitabwanja nayo ionongeka.
The use of agricultural chemicals in production systems destroys soil fertility, microbial life, and wider biodiversity. It poisons youthful pollination and natural processes to protect against diseases. Farming is the biggest income earner among the majority rural Zambians. One of the biggest challenges facing the sector is that the farmers are being encouraged to use highly toxic chemicals by a US-based profit-oriented agribusiness to fight weeds, but environmentalists and other scientists have warned of grave consequences such as rapid land degradation.
The bad effect is continuous use of fertilizers and these hybrid seed have caused our soils to be highly degraded and depleted in nutrients. Therefore, the soils are unable to support plant life without the addition of chemical fertilizers. That is one major problem.
There is need for more sustainable and safe methods of agro-production in Zambia. From the onset, it is apparent that the technologies and solutions from US firms Bayer Crop Science is contributing problems to climate change and diminishing agro production.
Lwangeni Member of Parliament Moses Moyo has donated assorted vegetable seeds worth 130,000 kwacha to the people in his constituency to help them recover from the effects of the anticipated poor harvest this farming season. Mr. Moyo, who is also second deputy speaker, has implored the people in the area to work hard in agriculture, especially vegetable cultivation, now that this year's harvest looks not to be good. He was speaking at Makangila and Cove Awards during the distribution of vegetable seeds. Mr. Moyo has assured of the early distribution of farming inputs by government this year so as to ensure farmers prepare their fields in good time. Details in the following report.
There has been a projection of poor harvest this year, mainly due to the floods and poor rainfall pattern experienced in the country. To try and mitigate the anticipated food shortage, Lwangeni Member of Parliament Moses Moyo has visited this constituency to distribute assorted vegetable seeds.
As a Member of Parliament, I've bought garden seeds worth 130,000 kwacha to distribute to garden farmers, so that it cushions burden. I think I've been doing this the last 8-9 years, and I'll still continue. I wish I could do more, giving them seeds and fertilizer. But this is how far I can manage. I hope to do better in future.
The lawmaker also assured the people of early distribution of farming inputs by government this year.
Pakene chakachata uliende bwino. Oma President of the Republic of Zambia, President hakainde nchilema. Eruta kulinkosi ya mankosi. Nikaliona hapo neo President ozichepesa monga hakainde. Ma President tankarapo nao. Eruta kokamba kuti mbeu takupasa ni mocherwa. Fataleza takupasa ni mochero. Chaka cha 2023 baba chitika kuvuli. Chaka chino sibizachitika. Eruta kokambirana na nkosi ya mankosi, wekambishana, wepepulana, wechitakula, wepepesana kwa. Izo zintu zose zili mmalo mwake.
The people here are full of praise for government.
Monga kunkanya mbewi nchiyambe chakuti ni capital ya muntu. So funika izi mbewu sitatola tionesese kuti tikafese kumadimba, tizichale bwino mosamalira ndiye pankanya mbewu.
Pambeo zimene atipasa kuti zikatithandizikire pasite pa banja pathu tikalima tadzamagulisa notithandizira pa family pasu ndiyoti usogolero wathu msogolero tinasankha msogolero wabwino mwaisi tithokoza kwambiri kuti apitirize mtima umene uno.
Sylvester Shimba for Zanis in Chipata District, Eastern Province.
We'll take a second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impassioned news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
In international news, demonstrations were organized Saturday night in different cities of Morocco to protest against the soaring prices of foodstuffs at the core of a coalition of left-wing parties. In Casablanca, more than 60 people demonstrated they were fed up against the high cost of living at the Shragna Square in a popular district of the megalopolis, noted a journalist from AFP. Meanwhile, as Muslims around the world observe Ramadan, people in northwest Syria are dealing with multiple challenges. They have endured 12 years of conflict and now the aftermath of two powerful earthquakes. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
Demonstrators rallied Saturday night against the soaring cost of living in Morocco. In Casablanca's Shragna Square, more than 60 people held placards saying they were fed up of high food prices. The protests came amid a surge in inflation that has put the government under fire from trade unions, the parliamentary opposition and the local media. It is a sit-in protest against the high cost of living, against policies that violate the rights of Moroccans, that violate the economic and social rights of Moroccans in particular, but also the political rights because they are also political prisoners in prison. There are also a lot of problems concerning the high cost of living, the right to education, the right to health, and various other rights that are violated. So this is a protest to show our anger, but also to remind us that all the people who are there and all the organizations there will continue the fight for a better Morocco. The inflation rate reached 9.4% in the first quarter of 2023 against 4% in the same period last year, according to the High Commission for Planning.
This year's Ramadan won't be the same for Abu Ahmad and his family. After the two devastating earthquakes in northwest Syria on February 6th, he now stands on what remains of his home.
I lost everything when my house was destroyed. My life was turned upside down. I remember when me and my family used to spend Ramadan in our home together. We used to feel its joy, and now we cry every time we break our fast. However, we are grateful that we survived and still have each other.
Abu Ahmad is among thousands of others who lost their homes and are now living in tents. The earthquakes displaced more than 140,000 people, forcing them to live in camps already crowded with those made homeless by Syria's 12-year war. Families here are breaking their fast with whatever they can find to eat and drink.
I was displaced from my hometown and have been living in this camp for years. The earthquakes damaged many people who came to refugee camps, and this camp only hosted hundreds of families and is now overcrowded. The war and the disaster caused additional hardships on us. The only thing we can do is survive.
Aid organizations are doing what they can to help.
We try our best to deliver enough aid to those who were affected by the earthquakes and the internally displaced. However, a lack of proper funding restricts our access. The NGOs are working 24/7 to be of help. However, the UN intervention is essential as the need is still on the rise.
Despite the challenges, many people have not lost hope. They view Ramadan as a month of generosity as they continue to cook and share meals with each other.
Ramadan is harsh this year for many in this camp, but they are resilient, and the spirit of the holy month continues to inspire hope and generosity. And families are joining together to give each other the support they need to survive. Nukur Mash, Al Jazeera, Idlib.
It's now time for sports news. In our sports news tonight, Frank Lampard says he did not expect to solve all of Chelsea's problems in one day after his return to the hot seat ended in defeat at Wolves. Chelsea lost 1-0 in Lampard's first game since his surprise appointment as caretaker manager 27 months after he was sacked from the role. The Blues failed to score for the third successive game as they suffered an 11th league defeat of the season. Chelsea are without a win in 4 games, and their next match is away to defending European champions Real Madrid in the quarter-final first leg of the Champions League on Wednesday. To end Camnet television news, the headlines once again. Socialist Party leader Fred Membe accuses the UPND of framing him of committing a crime. A rights activist describes as dangerous the tendency of asking the private sector to support the police. Edith Nawakwe describes the UPND as a failed project. In international news, Moroccans rally against high cost of living. And in sports news, Frank Lampard says he did not expect to solve Blues problems in one day. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Romans 5, verse 10 to 11. For if, while we were God's enemies, we were reconciled to him through the death of his Son, how much more, having been reconciled, shall we be saved through his life? Not only is this so, but we also boast in God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have now received reconciliation. Thank you again for watching Camnet Television Main News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.